Hey everyone, welcome to The Labyrinth, a podcast produced by Virtual Executive Director. My name is Becky Brett and I am your host. I am an intuitive executive coach for artists, content creators, and entrepreneurs. And y'all, one of my favorite things to do is to brag on my clients. So this week, and with her permission, I am bringing you parts of the graduation call I had recently with my client Liz. Liz is a new mom. She has a full-time job as a virtual assistant, and she is launching a business in January of 2021. If you've been thinking about hiring a coach for yourself, I hope that this episode will help you make that decision for yourself, whether it's me or some other coach that you've been thinking of working with, that you'll see how a coach can help you, like the concrete things that can come out of working with a coach, and how a coach can support you in building the life of your dreams, not anyone else's dreams, your dreams. All right, so enjoy this conversation with me and Liz. When we got started, what was your biggest challenge or your biggest sort of concern? What did you want to make happen for yourself?
Other than a business, I wanted to, I guess, do more for myself or feel more comfortable doing things for me. For instance, how we talked about before, get myself a pair of jeans and not feel bad about spending money on it, or be able to splurge a little bit, or do what seems like normal things that for me were maybe a little bit more difficult to let myself have.
Okay. So to give to yourself the things that you would be giving to other people.
Exactly.
So Liz, your profession right now is virtual assistant. Mm-hmm. And the business that you are starting is called Let It Shine, and it is a candle business. Affordable, high quality, safe.
Fine, yeah.
What would you say was your biggest roadblock to starting that business?
Before this, not thinking I could do it, it was always one of those things I thought oh yeah, that would be cool. And I just left it at that. It was more of finding the time and to do that and being oh yeah, you can actually do this. This is something that you can do. Little Liz gonna open a company. It was always something that was just an idea and never anything more.
So would you say that it was maybe a lack of confidence in yourself?
More of I would say the lack of knowledge of knowing that I have time to do that. I have the ability to do that. I have the support to do that. It was just, those things were never really on my mind in order to enough to be able to go through with it.
The first step in the labyrinth is the release phase. What did you find that you released?
I had to, this might sound bad, but I had to release caring so much about other people. Because that can become toxic at some point.
Yes.
I cared so much about others that I couldn't, helping other people with every aspect possible, to where it was toxic for me, that I just had to learn how to let that go and not worry about what everybody else is doing, or if they need my help. If they need me, they'll give me.
Yeah. So you released taking care of everyone else at the expense of yourself. When did you know that you had released that need to take care of other people before taking care of yourself? Can you talk about was there a moment that kind of sticks in your mind?
Not really a particular moment, but just thinking your train of thought kind of changes mine. I don't know, it was a weight was off my shoulders. I wasn't constant, I had more time because I wasn't constantly thinking this person is gonna need me this day, or oh, let me check in on this person here. And I wasn't trying to micromanage everyone and everything.
Okay.
We did the list of things I wanted to do for myself and made that calendar, and like, it made me realize how much time I actually had, like, focusing, like on me, and I was like, "Okay, wow, like, this feels good." So
More of this, please. Yes. I
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
remembering a moment at church. Do you want to talk about that?
Because I wouldn't, like, go without Caleb. It's just how I
Mhm.
was raised, like, you do what the man of the household, like, that's what you do,
Mhm.
and I don't know, like, he didn't go, so I didn't wanna go, like, we were, like, a unit, so, like, we go together, and if one person doesn't do this, then the other one should, I don't know, I guess, like, support them by not going, like, it doesn't make sense now that I think about it, but in my head then it did, and, like I said, it's how I was raised, and then I was at church. We finally went back after COVID and after having Lainey, and I was just there, and the preacher, I forget, like, exactly what he said, but it was talking about, how you, like, yourself, like, that you determine your actions, not your husband, not your wife, not your kids, or, like, the neighbor down the road, like, you determine that, and I was like, "Holy crap." So I was just sitting there, and I was, like, in shock, like, I probably didn't even hear the next, like, whole paragraph he said, because I was just sitting there like, "Whoa." Like, I determined that, and I've been holding myself back from going to church. I've been using that as an excuse, like, God's not gonna look at us and be like, "Hey, like, y'all did okay, like, y'all did what you could, like, as a team." Like, no, he's gonna be like, "Liz, you decided not to go to church."
Mm.
Like, I don't know, it all hit me at once, and I was like, "Whoa," it was like a jaw-dropping moment, but
Yeah.
obviously I couldn't do that because, like, that's not pretty and I was in public, but
Standards. Yeah.
exactly.
I wonder if you would have been if you would have been as open to hearing that if we hadn't have been
I don't
working.
think I would've. I think it because with us working together, that was something that was more on my mind anyway. It was, like, doing things
Mhm.
for me and, like, like, evaluating those things, like, throughout the week, and, um, it's just if we wouldn't have been working together, I probably would have just thought, "Oh, he's talking to somebody else." Like,
Oh, too bad for them.
yeah, like, "Oh, man, that sucks," you know? But no, I was like, "Oh, whoa, that's me, he talking to me," like, somebody else is saying too bad for them, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think when when we let go of the things that are holding us back, you released a pretty major thought pattern, and that made room for something new to come in,
Yeah.
when the time was right, and it sure did. Boy, like a plank to the face, I think.
Yeah, it really was. Definitely did not see it coming.
So, have you been back to church with or without Caleb? Oh,
We've been, I think all but one Sunday since then, and that Sunday we tuned in, online, but
mm.
yeah, he's come every time. So,
And
I haven't had to go by myself yet, but,
yeah.
I even told him this past Sunday, like, I told him that, like, everything that we just talked about, and I was like, "So from here on out, if you decide not to go, that's your decision." So
How, how did he take it?
he was like, "Okay, that's fair." A very Caleb response.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think you saw a change in him too, didn't you, from the work you and I did?
Yeah, I mean, from him, like, I learned how to put more time into me and respect myself more by allowing myself to have that time, and it was kinda like, and it was weird because it was just, like, out of nowhere, which I guess that's how this works now. I see a pattern, but I he
Mhm.
was just like, I don't remember exactly, unless do you remember? He was, like, asking, like, "Oh, like, do we wanna go somewhere?" I think is that there's been a time he's asked, like, "Oh, can we go do this? Like, go somewhere together." And then
Mhm.
there's been a time that was, he wanted to, like, watch a movie together. I don't remember which one this was, to be honest with you, but Um, yeah, he asked that, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, like, I don't know, it was weird, like, those things have been, like, watching movies together and stuff like that. That's been brought up before,
Mhm.
but not always have them been followed through with. Like, we've just been like, "Oh, no, we're tired, we'll go to bed instead," or just by him. Like,
Yeah.
so it was weird. It was a good weird, but it was weird.
Mhm. Yeah, I think because you stopped trying to micromanage
Yeah,
that.
everyone and everything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that gave him room to surprise you.
yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool. I remember that moment.
Yeah,
That was really fun.
what? 'Cause that was, like, right when we were coming into a call too. It was, like, 5 minutes before a call.
Mm. Let's talk about your business a bit, about Let It Shine. Talk to me a bit about the process, like going from idea that you probably would never really execute to where you are now. Just describe that.
When I first started, like, I assumed that, this would be something that, like, it was an idea before, and it would probably still, like, be an idea after. This would just help me determine, like, if it was something I wanted to do maybe later down the road.
Mm.
And then we got on our call, and you're like, "Okay, so when do you wanna open?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, I don't know." And you're like, "Okay, like, who do you wanna sell to?" And I'm like, "I don't know. People that like candles." Like, just it was crazy to see or to, like, I guess, actually set, like, these dates and, like because you would give me, like, the homework and be like, "Oh, well, let's figure out, like, your social media calendar, like, what do you wanna do for this?" And I'm like, "Okay, this is happening." Like, I'm like, "This is cool." Like, it got it got more exciting as time went on, and I realized, like, "Whoa, okay, this is more than an idea now." Like, because writing something down, like, for me is big,
Mm.
and, like, when I was doing that homework in my Rocket book, that was, like that was it, like, that it was here,
Yeah.
it was real, like and then you were like, "Okay, you need to order things," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like, you're right, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
turning your dream into a reality takes planning and
yeah,
but I think it also takes just someone treating it like it's real.
yeah, exactly, because this was something, like, I would mention it, and it would kinda be like, "Yeah, like, if you wanna do that, do it." But then, like, I'm never gonna think about it again, like
Mhm.
it would be cool, but I wasn't gonna think about it again. And then,
Yeah.
like, for our meetings, like, it was, like, constant like, weekly, it was something that we would talk about and, like,
Mhm.
progress on. It was a ton of help with getting it started up, like, otherwise, I probably still wouldn't have.
Yeah. And where are you now with it?
Yeah, I'm actually working on getting a separate workspace, um,
Hmm.
with,
Is it like a
like
little
kinda like those buildings you can purchase and, like, put out back and run a
Mhm.
generator to and stuff like that. 'Cause really
Mm.
that's all I need. Like, I just need my own little space for it.
Yeah.
I'm not taking up everybody's kitchen, but, um, yeah, I'm looking into getting one of those.
Wow.
So
And you've got some samples too, right? I mean, that people that you've had sent to you, like some samples of wicks and
yeah, so I've had different, like, waxes and, wicks, like, for the flowers that broke my heart, but,
at least you learned something.
I did. I did learn something, and I learned some science, but, I'm gonna figure out if flower wick is gonna happen one day. That it's still not nothing is impossible, right? Like, it's gonna
Yeah.
happen. Um, maybe I'll be the first to do it, maybe not, but it's gonna happen. The
Mhm.
world needs a flower wick in their life.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But, yeah, lots of samples, that I've had to learn about and be like, oh, I can't actually use this. That's sad. But then, find an alternative. I'm like, okay, it's all better,
It sounds like you've built up some resilience too.
Yeah. It's easier now to be like, okay, we'll just, go to the next plan. Like I have during this process, not just with the business either, I've been able to just be like, okay, you know what? Not gonna work or this can't happen, like move on. Like forget it and move on.
So how would you say you've sort of integrated these lessons into your daily life? Like what does daily life look like for you now?
Well, that Momentum app that I downloaded last week has helped tremendously because we did the calendar and we tried like me writing in my book. But yeah, the Momentum app, I like it a lot. The notes that I've been able to put on it. But really just I kind of had to like train the thought to be in the back of my brain at all times of like, hey Liz, even if it like it's kind of like daily checklist, like in the back of my head at all times. And me like I have little things on there like, hey Liz, let's be sanitary and brush our teeth. And like like as a mom, so like many small tasks like brushing your teeth and showering and hey, you should probably scrub that dead skin off your feet. Like the things like that are forgotten. So
okay.
yeah, I have them on there, like some small ones. And then I have some that's like, hey, maybe you should like work out today or do something for yourself today. And I put those in there in the notes. But I sit down like at nighttime before bed and like do that like as a reflection.
This is our 13th session, but we spread them out a bit towards the end here. So it's every 2 weeks instead of every week.
4 sessions, I think, is what we did every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Those first couple of months, did it feel a bit accelerated? Like, oh my gosh, this is moving pretty fast? Or how did that feel?
I don't think it felt quick at all. I think that's what I needed.
Oh, okay.
With like that constant check-in is what it felt like. Like I would turn around and it was Thursday again, time for our call. And I'm like, oh crap, do I have my stuff together? It's what I needed, honestly.
I want to be challenging to you, but I don't want to be like drinking out of a fire hose. What would you say to someone who is considering coaching?
I would say do it. Just don't think about it. Make this the one thing you don't think about if you can do that and do it. It's the best. It's always been the best thing for me, whether it be coaching like with you or just like a little life mentor that I can text sometimes. Like it's always you can never go wrong with having a coach or a mentor ever.
And why do you think that is for you specifically?
There's always like a question that like I'm going to run into at some point, and there's always going to be like support needed. Like it, and that's like built-in support is what that is basically. Like that's what it's for. And it feels good knowing like there's somebody that you can ask or like fall back on if needed. It's like you are coming and attending my pity party sometimes if I need them, but you don't let them go on for too long. That, like how to shut the party down and get back to like real life.
The pity party police.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you again, Liz. It was such a great pleasure getting to work with you. And thank you all for listening. If you liked this podcast, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram at beckybrett.live for daily inspiration, information, and support. If you're looking for a coach, the link to my application is in the show notes, and I can't wait to hear from you. Enjoy the journey, everybody. And remember, you can lose yourself in a maze, but you can find yourself in a labyrinth.